Electricast.
Welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudette, self-care coach for women who are ready to make self-care a priority to support them in life and business. Every week, I'll be speaking with inspiring women from various walks of life who will share their personal journeys and will discover how they have fearlessly carved their own paths as business owners, passionately pursuing their dreams and creating a meaningful impact on their communities. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design podcast. I'm your host, Leslie, and I'm really excited to be speaking to my guest today. Her name is Denise Penaflorida. She is amazing. She's a Christian woman, family gal, and business professional. Growing up, Denise experienced life without God, and she's come to learn that a life without God is a life without answers. She realizes that she is where she is today because of the God she serves, and all the glory belongs to him. Denise is a notary public and loan signing agent, and she also works as the administrator for her church and as a litigation legal assistant for her real estate law firm. She truly believes that God has a plan for each of us, bigger plans than what we can ever think of or dream of. It was him that led her to start her business, and she's certain there's much more connected to that decision and is looking forward to what God has in store for her. I have had the pleasure of knowing Denise for a few years and have been honored to watch her journey into entrepreneurship with grace and ease. And I truly do love her mission in life, and I can't wait for you to meet her. So let's talk to this beautiful lady. Welcome, Denise. I am so happy to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Leslie. And thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Well, I've been really looking forward to our chat. So let's just get into it.
Yes.
So
please.
Let's just start first by getting to know you a little bit better. So please share a little bit about your life and how you grew up, and then we'll get into what you're currently doing today. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Yes. And, like you've mentioned in the introduction, growing up, as a kid, it was pretty good. Growing up as a kid, life was pretty good. And as soon as I got into my teenage years, things kind of just, took a turn for the worse. So had some rough times growing up, especially, being like a young teenager. But thankfully, I found the right church and really just dedicated my life to Jesus. And it did give me purpose. And I learned that there's so much more to life than just making money. And that chasing money isn't the answer. And we just need to go after his plan, and he'll direct us. And that's really what I did. And growing up after, finding that purpose, it was 14 that I started going to the church I'm going now. And from there, it was all about really just going after his plan. And in each step, he directs me. So that's, pretty much my background in a nutshell.
Yeah. So I'm so happy that you shared that about you, because I know there's always that backstory, and we all, even though we love perhaps the lives that we're living today, and especially when God becomes that center of it, center of our world, so that it becomes that guiding light, it really makes a difference. So I love that you shared that story, because again, what you're doing today is amazing. We'll talk a little bit about that, but what you're doing today is amazing, because I know, like, being involved with your church, it's not just about you going and just fellowshipping there. You've actually put in a lot of your time. So let's talk about your business first. So tell us what you do and how you discovered your passion for and purpose for it, and what steps did you take to pursue it?
Yes. So I am a notary signing agent and a certified loan signing agent. And, really being a business owner wasn't really something that I had in mind growing up. It was always, and there's nothing, don't get me wrong, there's nothing working for someone else. There's nothing having a regular 8-to-5 job. But I just knew that there was something more than just that. And for me, it was just really going out there and taking a leap of faith, really, and then just trusting in his plan that there's something out there that's bigger than what I'm currently seeing. And for me, it's really just a stepping stone into more, because I don't believe that this is just it for me just having a business as a notary public or a loan signing agent, I believe that this is just training ground for more in terms of my own business. And for me, it's not just about being successful just so that I can be successful. It's really so that I can be a help and a blessing to others. Really, that's the biggest purpose for me, is that God is using this avenue so that I can be a blessing to the bigger picture, So really, I just had to step out. I had to take the steps, and I did the classes. I learned the material. I studied hard, and I got the right certificates. And then, the rest is history.
Yeah, no, and I love that. But I also know that you still have your footprint in the corporate world as well. As your introductory says, you are a litigation legal assistant for a real estate law firm. So tell us a little bit about that, because you've got your own business. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that a lot of the time when someone becomes an entrepreneur, it's usually because they're going from corporate into entrepreneurship. But it appears from what I'm learning about you is that you're embracing a both and. So you want, you can support in that industry still, as well as have your own thing. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So I've always had a background in the legal industry. I've worked as a paralegal for several years, but it was, as a transactional paralegal. So what I'm doing now is litigation, and it's something that was always interesting to me. And I just want to get that experience under my belt. And I thought this was a great opportunity for me to do that and then gain this experience again for the bigger picture. Because I feel like, when you're just kind of gathering all of the tools that you can use for something greater. And for me, that this is something that is a part of that. And it's something that I sense that is needed for me to have under my belt, just to aid me with what's to come in the future. And I've been with this firm for, I want to say, almost a year now, with doing my own business and also working for the church. And I've learned a great deal and gained a lot of knowledge that I think could prove useful for a lot of things. So I think it's great that I'm able to see the best of both worlds and experience that.
Yeah, no, and I love that, because again, you're embracing a both and, rather than like a lot of people, they tend to go the opposite direction. They go from corporate into entrepreneurship. And the reason why they do that is they're trying to get away from. And what you've done is you've not only created your entrepreneurial world where you've got your own footprint, but you're also embracing that you can still serve in this capacity that you love. And you've learned to love both because you're good at both. And that's what I think is really important takeaway here, is because you don't have to step fully into just being an entrepreneur. It's still almost like you're on an entrepreneurial journey. This is part of your entrepreneurial journey with, serving this law firm. So I love that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So can you share a specific strategy or mindset shift that has played a significant role in your success as a business owner?
Yes, absolutely. Really, it's just to never settle or be complacent, because for me, there's, I guess, a comfort with what you know and what you're so used to for years. So really, this was a big difference in what I've been used to for several years. And like I said before, it was something that I never really saw myself as, being a business owner or owning my own business. It was never something that, was just in my own personal plan. And, just that mindset of, there's more out there, and just don't settle for just this, because this is not forever for you. And I don't want to say take risks, but I feel like there's a better way for me of saying that. But I guess, just take a leap of faith, like I mentioned before. And really, it's just, I think once you find yourself in a place of complacency, like, it gets dangerous, because, life begins to become mundane, and you're just finding yourself doing the same thing day in and day out. And you lose that sense of purpose, really. And it's just about going through the motions of each day, when really there's always something more. There's always something greater that you can do. And I think that's that biggest shift in mentality that has helped me propel into where I am today.
And I love that you said that, because I think it can be super easy to just become really relaxed and comfortable in what you're doing, even if you don't like it, because there's
Sure.
that level of fear of not knowing, thinking, well, I do want something else, but this is familiar to me. And and then when you become, over and over, the repeat process of going into a job that you don't even really like
Mhm.
is, it can be very harmful to a person's mental
Oh,
well-being, their emotional
absolutely.
well-being. And I think too, one of the reasons behind that is just that a lot of the time we're focusing on maybe external pieces of the job rather than what we're bringing to the table. So,
Absolutely.
so I really like that. And also being able to juggle those multiple things because you've learned to love each aspect of your life that you're building and knowing that this is part of the plan, but not being so rigid that you're going to
Absolutely.
say this is the only plan, because there's
Exactly.
there's more. And I
Yes.
think that is what
Yes.
is such a beautiful testimony to what you're doing, is
Oh, yeah.
because you've looked at that there's more, and yet you might not know 100% what that more looks like, but you're willing to trust that God has a plan for you. And if you just continue to listen and go down that path, that he's going to show you, that he's going to open up those doors. He's going to open up the way for you to go. Like, as long as
Yes.
we listen, I think that's the part of it that I think is really important, because I look at God as my
Oh, yeah.
GPS,
Yes, ma'am.
or
That's absolutely correct.
I've even said it as like God's plan for success, plan for my success. So the
Hmm.
GPS part of it is, if I look to him for guidance and ask him for that every day, he's going to show up. He's going to show me
Absolutely.
whether that's through other people or things that he puts in, circumstances that he puts in my way. It's whatever that is, as long as I'm open to receiving that. So I love
Absolutely.
that you said that. So my next question is two parts, and it's around self-care. As you know, that's what I do.
Yes.
So firstly, what does self-care mean to you, and how do you prioritize it in your daily life?
So self-care to me is extremely, extremely, extremely important. And, it's not just important for succeeding in your business or your job, but really just in every aspect of life. And I've been on the other side of that. And, Leslie, also, you've known that about me as well in the past. And I've had my struggles with dealing with that, because it's just, I tend to just throw myself into work and really put myself in last place. And I always find that doing that always ends badly. And I'm always having to pick myself up. And it's just, to get back going is just, it really puts yourself in a difficult place. And I believe that if you don't have the proper self-care for yourself, then you can't provide care for others. And that was a really big, me realizing that did all the difference for me, because I realized I'm so much more productive and effective if I care for myself, because in turn, I'm able to succeed in ways that can help others. And, that was always something that's just been in my heart, to always be of help to others. That's just, I have a servant's heart just in my natural self. That's just always been me. What can I do for others? And it was always like everyone else, but not me. But I realized in doing so, it ends up hurting everyone else anyway. So changing that mentality and focusing on self-care has really made all the difference, and has really helped me tremendously.
No, I'm glad. And I know, yeah, of course, we've known each other a few years now. So I've been able to see part of your journey. So, and
Yes,
of course, that's just life, right? Until we
absolutely.
learn from the things that we do until we finally say, okay, enough is enough. I need to actually start taking care of me so
Yes,
that I can be the best of myself.
yes,
So
absolutely.
now, yeah. So now let's talk about the balance between your personal and professional life, because you are, not only do you have your own business as the notary public and the loan signing
Yes,
officer, but you're working for the law firm as a legal litigation assistant
yes,
as well. And then you also work within your church. I know you have a big footprint within your church.
yes.
How do you find that balance between your personal life with your family, the church, and your professional life with your business and the law firm? And what tips would you have for our listeners who may struggle with this?
Yes. So for me, as I've mentioned, it was something that I've always, struggled with. Um, and finding balance was a big hurdle I had to get over. But, throughout the years, I've learned to find that balance and how important it is to find that balance, because without putting a fine line between professional and personal life, you really just burn both ends of the candlestick until there's nothing left. And for me, finding balance between being healthy, not only physically, but mentally, but also being productive is key in running your race and running your race, with joy and for a long time. Because going the rate I was going, I wouldn't be running my race very long. And I really had to sit and be like, okay, I really need to make some changes here, because going the way I'm going is not going to cut it. And really what it was being unorganized. It was never not about having not enough time. And, for me, it was always like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. Because in the natural, I'm a very busy person. I really don't have a lot of free time, and things can pile up. But really, someone said that to me, not to me personally, but I was watching something and it just hit me. And it just really, it's something that really helped me get out of some things, because like I just said, it's not about not having enough time. It's about being unorganized. And when I say that, it starts with being unorganized in your thought life. That's where it started for me, with all these thoughts, like running around my brain. And when you have unorganized thoughts, everything else will be unorganized. How you plan your day, how you set your goals, how you accomplish your goals, unorganized. So what I had to do was really just sit and make time, first and foremost, for prayer and meditation. Really, like, to just say, Lord, I lift this up to you. I thank you for your grace, for your strength, your wisdom to do all that I need to do. And the moment I lift it up to him, then comes all that I need, all the equipping, all of the ideas, the wisdom, the grace, the strength that I need to go and do all that I need to do for each day. And from there, I'm able to plan accordingly, to set goals, and not only set them, but meet them. So, it was really a game changer for me. And it really just started with getting my mind right. And getting my mind right was starting the day off in prayer and meditation.
I love that. And I think, just like you were saying, our thoughts, they can become habits.
Oh,
and,
100%.
having that, what I call mental clutter, it was part of the reason why, for me, for so long, I just felt like I couldn't think. And like you, feeling like I didn't have any time.
Yes.
And yet we all have the same amount of time, but it was just, how was I spending my time? And I didn't even know how I was spending my time. A lot of, no pun intended, the time.
Yes.
And so, and so when I realized, okay, there has to be some changes in my own life, that was when, I decided to take back that piece of my life that was not of my own, which was my time. And as you know, I stepped into really my first foray into entrepreneurship of being my own boss and becoming a contract worker for the law firm that I'm still supporting them 5 years later. But in a way that now it freed up my time to become less about focusing on how much time I don't have and being able to see how much time I do have. So it's just finding that balance, and whatever works for you. It doesn't have to be the same as anyone else, but what supports you. So I think that's really important part.
Absolutely.
So now my last question is, what advice would you give to women who are afraid to pursue their dreams or start their business?
For me, I want to say the biggest thing to remember is the worst that they can say is no. And I feel like a lot of people are afraid to step out and pursue their dreams because they're afraid of rejection and they're afraid of hearing no. But, sometimes that's just part of it. And that is the worst thing that can happen, is that you hear a no or you get rejected. But you know what? You just keep going. You just keep going and going. And eventually you'll get a yes. Eventually you'll get a win. But really, you have to start. And that is, I think, the biggest thing is just starting. Because if you don't take that first step, then you won't be able to know what's next. But when you take the first step, then comes more ideas for what's to come. And then you can take the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. And then, you're off to the races. But really just start, because, someone, and it was a friend of mine, said it jokingly, but really it rings so true, he said that you'll miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, which is so true. And, just go out there and do it. And then just trust in his plan, trust that he'll take care of you. And once you step out in faith, he'll let you know what's next. Like you said, GPS, let him be your guide, let him guide you. And if you make the wrong turn, guess what? A GPS will reroute you. And that's what he'll do. So really, it's never a lose-lose situation. You'll always end up succeeding. So that's my take on that.
Yeah. And I love it so much. I think it's just you've got to take a first step.
Yeah.
You'll never know unless you try.
Yeah.
And even if you fail the first time, it's a lesson learned that, okay, this was something that I tried. Maybe looking at it like, why didn't it work out the way? So, well, maybe it's because it wasn't really what I wanted. And then being able to say, okay, well, what really do I want? And I think that's probably one of the hardest questions to answer, because it's super easy to say what we don't want. But when it comes to actually answering that one question of what do you want for your life, it can be really, really hard.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that's so true. That is so true.
So I do actually have one last question that I would really like to ask you.
Yes.
So you've mentioned that you believe God has bigger plans for each of us. So how has this belief influenced your mindset and approach to personal and professional growth? And how do you stay aligned with God's plan while you're pursuing your own goals and your aspirations?
Was that last part you say, how do you stay in line?
Yeah. So how has this belief influenced your mindset that he has a bigger plan and your approach to it through your personal and professional life? And how do you stay aligned with that while pursuing your own goals?
Yes. So, I've had to learn that I am not my own, and whatever I had planned for myself, he has always something better for me. And, everyone has to learn that, because growing up, it's always, before I learned and got into the relationship that I do now with the Lord and, dedicated my life to him. Before that, it was really just what I wanted to do, my plan. And even like in the beginning, it was something that you still struggle with, because it's human nature to just go with what you think, But when you realize there is a bigger purpose and a greater plan than what you have for yourself, because his plans are always greater than our plans. His ways are far greater than our ways. And just realizing that and embracing that, it really makes all the difference, because you end up really just surrendering your own aspirations, your own worldly aspirations for yourself to him. And then that's when he can say, now I can work in this person. Now she's open to hearing from me, because it's not about just what she wants. Because when you're just so focused on yourself and what you want, then you're closed off to hearing anything from the greater one. And the moment I said, yes, Lord, I want your plan, not my own, then ideas came. Then those instructions came of what's to come, of, hey, apply here, or oh, why don't you start this business? And, the Lord, he's never forceful. He'll always, he's so, what's that word that I'm looking for? He'll never just force anything on us. At the end of the day, it'll be our decision, but he'll give us these ideas for us to take on, if we're willing and obedient to do so. And once you follow his leadings into hey, apply here, or start this business here, or talk to this person. And then once you do that, then you'll see all the provision flow, all the favor flow. And then more doors open, like you've said, Leslie, more doors of opportunities will open for you that you can enter in. And then it just, once you continue to follow it'll just be that race that you're running to the finish line. And each step of the way, you'll be guided. Your steps will be ordered by him. And it just makes life so much easier when you're making decisions based on his plan versus your own. Because like you said, even if you end up misstepping, or you end up, failing because it wasn't really what you thought you wanted, and you just get back on the horse, and he'll pick you up and he'll give you the strength to move forward. And then you've gained that knowledge that you need to grow from that mistake. And there's never any condemnation. And it just makes life so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I so agree with it. And I love how you were saying, it's almost like that saying of, and I don't know if you've heard this, but a lot of people talk about this or something better. And I think that's like what when you listen and you allow him to lead you, what I have noticed in my own life is that when I allow myself to just say, I'm obedient to what you want me to do, and I walk down that path, it's usually bigger than what I dreamed. So it's never usually the same path of him saying, okay, let me lead you down the path. It's like, usually it's something bigger than what I dreamed. It might be that's part of the dream or part of the goal, but it's always better than what I could ever imagine. So, and I love that you said that. And being okay, like you were saying as well, just allow yourself to, when you are obedient to it and you allow yourself to like release control, because that's another thing that I had to learn was to release control.
Yes.
Then bigger and better is revealed. And then when you allow that the plan for you is not for just your own well-being, because obviously when it's not just about us, that when we understand that and you become that service-based mindset, that heart-centered mindset, you start to get those other doors opening up to you and you just make a bigger impact. And that's really, I think, why I love what I do. And I'm really loving like the women that I'm bringing onto the show. This is what you all are doing, is you're following a path to make a bigger impact to help other people. It's not just about your own well-being or what's in it for you. So I am so happy that you came on today. I am so happy that you shared your story. It has really been amazing to speak with you today.
Thank you so much, Leslie. It's really it's an honor and a privilege. And I'm really so grateful that you're doing this and you're really reaching so many, with doing this podcast. And you're really, I know we don't talk often, but you are a blessing in my life. And I admire you. And I'm so grateful to God that, that we've been connected. And I'm just so looking forward to what he has in store for your life, because I know that it's good.
Thank you so much. Well, as I said, I'm happy to be connected to you as well. I absolutely love what you shared today. I'll make sure that the show notes provide our listeners with how they can get in touch with you, especially if they are on the West Coast where you are in California. If they're looking for notary services, that you're available.
Wonderful.
So I'm really excited to be able to do that, because I think this is being able to connect you to more and more people in that capacity is great. But also, to even just someone resonates with your story, might want to even just to reach out to you to learn more about how they can do like what you've done, which is you've created this life where you have embraced a both and mentality of having your foot in the corporate world, having your foot in the entrepreneurial world, and you're still embracing, that relationship with God and creating and giving back into your community. So I think that is incredible. And I'm excited for what you have coming up with your life. As you said, you don't know the whole path, and that's okay. That knowing the whole journey is not for us to know, but just to be gracious that we have a life path that's been placed before us. And when we trust it in him, that he will provide, that we can do amazing things. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Leslie.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful day, a beautiful week. Until then, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep designing your extraordinary life one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on Her Extraordinary Life by Design. I hope you've been inspired and empowered by the incredible stories shared on this show. If you enjoyed this episode and the conversations we've had, I would greatly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback and support mean the world to me, and it will help others discover the podcast and join our empowering community. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Together, we can continue to learn from these amazing women, uncover their extraordinary journeys, and be motivated to create our own lives by design. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, stay empowered and keep shaping your extraordinary life one day at a time.